On Christmas night in 1945, an incident occurred in West Virginia, USA, that still sends shivers down the spine when remembered. George Sodder, a man by that name, was celebrating Christmas with his wife, Jenny Sodder, and his 10 beloved children. Every face was lit with joy. But who could have known that this night would turn into a dreadful nightmare? A nightmare that remains an unsolved mystery to this day. It happened in such a way that around 1 a.m., a sudden fire broke out in the house. George and Jenny rushed outside with their 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping upstairs disappeared forever. Their bodies were never found, nor was there any trace left behind. Were they really burned in the fire, or were they kidnapped? Was this fire truly an accident, or was it set intentionally with special planning? Welcome once again to Unsolved Enigmas videos, dear viewers. The Italian dictator Benito Mussolini, which forced him to leave Italy and settle in America. Speaking openly against the dictator, in America, he ran a trucking business and was fortunate enough to own his own home. His wife, Jenny Sodder, was a dedicated housewife who cared for their children with love and discipline. On Christmas Day, December 24th, 1945, the Sodder children were playing with their new toys. As night fell, 5 children went to sleep in the upstairs room. Around 1 a.m., Jenny sensed smoke in the house. When she went to check, she discovered that, for some reason, a fire had broken out in the kitchen. George and Jenny rushed out with their 4 children, but the 5 children sleeping upstairs remained inside. George made every possible attempt to save them. When George Sodder ran toward the second-floor window, he found that his ladder was missing from its usual spot. Then he thought of using his coal truck to reach the window, but when he turned on the ignition, the truck wouldn't start, and the second truck was also not working. Present tried to call the Fayetteville Fire Department, but unfortunately, no one answered. Later, when they managed to contact the fire chief, the fire brigade arrived hours after the incident. Everyone assumed that a fire had broken out in the house and that the 5 children had perished in the flames. But as normal as this might seem, the case was far more complicated. The next morning, when the investigation began, officials stated that the children had burned to death in the fire. However, this was beyond anyone's understanding, because human bones do not turn to ash even at 800 degrees Celsius, especially the parts containing calcium, including teeth, which remain intact even in a furnace. So how is it that in the Sodder house fire, not 1, not 2, but all 5 children's bones were never found, nor was there any sign of their teeth? Later, forensic investigations confirmed that the fire did not last long enough to turn bones to ash. This fact was deeply unsettling, and the Sodder family immediately rejected the investigation report. The investigation team had claimed that a short circuit in the kitchen caused the fire, but George insisted that he had recently had all new wiring installed, leaving no possibility for any fault. When George tried to recall those moments of the incident, he remembered details that hinted at something being seriously wrong. At the time of the fire, when he picked up the phone to call the fire brigade, he discovered that the phone line was cut, and investigations later confirmed that someone had deliberately cut the line from outside. Because when a phone line breaks naturally, its edges are jagged, but when it is cut with pliers, the edges appear very smooth. Later, Jenny recalled that exactly at 12:30, the house phone rang, and on the other end, a woman was laughing loudly, to which Jenny replied, "Wrong number," and then hung up. If the phone line was cut at 1 a.m. and just half an hour earlier it received a strange call, it means the line was severed half an hour before the fire broke out. That night was filled with odd events. Just after the phone call and a few minutes before the fire started, Jenny heard something fall on the roof. When nothing else was heard, she turned over and went back to sleep, and within minutes she noticed the smell of smoke. Additionally, the ladder that George normally kept was missing at the time of the incident and was later recovered from a field far from the house. Both of George's trucks, which had been working perfectly just a day earlier, malfunctioned during the fire, an occurrence that further convinced him that his children had not perished but were instead kidnapped. Yet, amidst all the chaos, how could someone have managed to abduct them? A few months before this incident, an insurance agent had come to George, pressing him hard to take out home insurance. But when Sodder flatly refused, the agent threatened him, saying, "You'll only realize it when your house catches fire." Could it be that someone used the fire to divert attention, and at that very moment, the children were kidnapped? Another theory suggests that George Sodder's open criticism of Italian dictator Mussolini did not sit well with the Italian mafia, leading them to target him and take his children under their control. Some people even claim to have seen the Sodder children in different locations after the fire. One woman said she saw them in a hotel with a strange couple, while other reports stated they were seen being taken away in a car. All these accounts confirmed that the Sodder children did not die in the fire. Then, about a year after the incident, new evidence emerged. The investigation team's earlier claim that a short circuit caused the fire was proven wrong. New investigations revealed that the fire had been set deliberately. At that time, a bus driver passing by reported that he saw some individuals throwing objects like fireballs. A few months later, when the snow melted, a round rubber-like object was found near the house, which is known as a pineapple bomb. Jenny recalled a sound from a few minutes before the fire reached the house. A sound of something falling on the roof, perhaps the pineapple bomb. George and Jenny devoted their lives to solving this mystery. They left no stone unturned and followed every possible lead. They even had a large billboard erected, displaying pictures of the missing children and offering a reward. Nearly 20 years later, in 1960, Jenny received a letter containing a photograph of a man who closely resembled their son Louis, with the letter simply reading, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie." Was this letter really written by one of the 5 missing children? Or was it just a prank? George and Jenny hired a private detective to investigate the letter, but no trace of Louis Sodder was ever found. Year after year passed, yet the mystery remained unsolved. George Sodder passed away in 1969, and Jenny, along with the surviving children, continued to search for answers about their missing siblings. After George's death, Jenny refused to leave the family home. She installed fencing around the house and even added new rooms, wearing dark clothes for the rest of her life as a reminder of her loss. In 1989, after Jenny's passing, the family finally took down the old weathered billboard that had been erected for the missing children. Were the children simply victims of a tragedy, or were they part of a larger conspiracy? This is a mystery that may never be solved. Thank you for watching this Unsolved Enigmas video. Please like, share, and leave your heartfelt comments. See you in the next amazing video.